should you start a business, a new small business, to do or not to do? I'd like to share with you a blog that I recently found. I found it at techcrunch.com, techcrunch.com. The title of the blog is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Mediocre Entrepreneurs. Interesting title, caught my attention. Habits of Highly Effective Mediocre Entrepreneurs. It was written by James Altucher, Altucher. I'm sorry, James, if I am misspelling your name. And that was it was a blog I found in the last couple of days, but it was written a week ago. James is an investor, programmer, author, and entrepreneur. He's written 10 books. His opening paragraph: I'm pretty mediocre, particularly as an entrepreneur. I'm ashamed to admit it. Many of the readers here are great visionaries. I'm not even being sarcastic. I have reason to believe Larry Page reads all my articles. Larry, of course, is the CEO of Google. Actually, James, if you can have Larry be reading my articles and blogs and watching my YouTube videos, please tell him to. I do it's been a very popular YouTube. I do it about once a week. What's inside SmallBizDavid's red Google bag. It's a bag that I got when I attended an offline. Google was on a roadshow and came to my community, came to Cincinnati. It was either last summer or the summer before. I don't even remember now. But I attended, and it was a wonderful event. I learned a lot about Google, and I got a red Google bag. So now I put anything that has to do with Google articles that I read. In the very near future, I'm going to talk about Google Plus is better for business. But anyway, I use Google Plus every day, and it's been great for my business, and I will share with you how it can be great for your business. James goes on to say, I've started a bunch of companies, sold some, failed at most. I've invested in a bunch of startups, sold some, failed at some, and the jury is still sequestered on a few others. Entrepreneurs should be so lucky. We can't all be grand visionaries. I want to make our business, sell it, make some money, raise a family, and try to be happy. Those are his objectives and goals as an entrepreneur. My feeling, based on my own experience, is that aiming for grandiosity is the fastest route to failure. For every Mark Zuckerberg, there are 1,000 Jack Zuckermans. Who is Jack Zuckerman? James says, I have no idea. That's my point. If you are Jack Zuckerman and are reading this, I apologize. Anyway, what are the 7 habits of highly ineffective, mediocre entrepreneurs? Number 1, procrastination. In between the time I wrote the last sentence and the time I wrote this one, I played and lost a game of chess. He goes on to talk about procrastination. That is one of the greatest reasons that businesses are not successful, because the owner, the entrepreneur, procrastinates. If something needs to be done and it comes to mind, it comes to your subconscious that it needs to be done, do it. Get it done. Establish that as a priority. If you're thinking about it, it's important. Don't procrastinate about it. Don't say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Because you know what? Nothing happens until it happens. Nothing happens until you get started. I like to create the analogy. I am a cardiovascular trainer. 4 times a week, I train a class of individuals about the heart and how important the heart is during exercise, and how we need to elevate the heart, and how we need to lower the heart. That really tells you how effective and how strong your heart is. How quickly and to what level you can elevate it, and how quickly you can drop it back to a more of a resting level. And as much as I exercise, and as much as I love to exercise, there are days, and I do it 3 mornings a week. I go to 2 of my classes. I leave the house at 4:45 in the morning, and I do some personal exercise, and then my class actually starts at 5:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wednesday evening at 5:30. Saturday mornings at 8:20. And the point I'm trying to make is that there are times when I said, oh boy, I just don't want to do it today. But I do it. You can't procrastinate about exercise. It's one thing you can't do. And I'm an individual that desperately needs to exercise because of a bad heart that I was born with bad parts. Unfortunately, I've had operations, 4 operations to fix parts or put new parts in. At any rate, once I get started, then it's easy, it's simple, it's fun, I'm doing it. It's getting into it. It's not procrastinating, and it's getting started. Nothing happens until you get started. Another point of a mediocre entrepreneur, a highly effective mediocre one, zero tasking. There's a common myth that great people can multitask efficiently. This might be true, but I can't do it, James says. I have statistical proof I have a serious addiction. If you ever talk on the phone with me, there's almost 100% chance that I am simultaneously playing chess online. So how effective really are you if you multitask? I'm sure there are folks who multitask effectively, but if James is on the phone and he is playing a game of chess while he's on the phone, he can't be fully concentrating on both of those things, particularly the game of chess, which takes a lot of thought. A third point, failure. As far as I can tell, Larry Page has never failed. He went straight from graduate school to billions. Ditto for Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and a few others. But again, by definition, most of us are pretty mediocre. We can strive for greatness, but we'll never hit it. So it means we'll often fail. Not always fail, but often. I don't like to use the word fail. Fail is a negative word. I don't like to bring negativism into the formula of things. I don't talk about failure, but I talk about a business venture or idea being unsuccessful. And there's a big difference. You've tried. You made the attempt. You didn't procrastinate. You started. You moved forward. You gave it your passion. You were persistent with your idea. You were very patient with the results. But you did not achieve your goals and objectives. Your goals and objectives. then you were unsuccessful in achieving your goals and objectives. So you've got some choices. Stop doing it the way that you're doing. Fix what you are doing if it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work altogether, get rid of it and do something else. That really is the determinant of success. Your ability to set goals and objectives. Work towards those goals and objectives. And if you're not successful in achieving them, being able to make the necessary changes so that you can achieve your goals and objectives. There is no such thing as failure if you've tried. You hear often, you'll do a lot of reading, and people will say you have to fail first before you even know what success is. There's some truth to that. Thomas Edison, the great example, tried to create the light bulb 1,000 times. He failed to create it 1,000 times, or whatever the number was. I've heard the number 1,000. I don't know if it was actually that number or not. But it didn't stop him, because he knew he was doing the right thing, so he changed. And he tried that change, and it didn't achieve the goal and objective that he wanted, so he made another change. So I guess he made 1,000 changes till he got it right. And look what an impact his work and his challenges and his strengths and his energy and his focus and his direction, what a change it has made for our lives. Not original is another habit of highly effective mediocre entrepreneurs. James says, I have never come up with an original idea in my life. My first successful business was making web software strategies websites for Fortune 500 companies. Not an original idea, but at the time in the 90s, people were paying exorbitant multiples for such businesses. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, that's the motivating factor for some entrepreneurial endeavors, because you're using something, you're trying something, you're working with something, it doesn't work. You say, well, geez, if I did this a little bit differently, that's how I can make it work, and I can make that concept more valuable. It doesn't necessarily have to be original, but as you heard me say yesterday, you need to be creative. You need to differentiate yourself, and the more creative you are in your marketing endeavors, the more successful you're going to be with creating that value, establishing that value, getting people to buy your goods or services. Poor networking. It's very important that you network as you're starting something. I used to do a tremendous amount of networking. As a matter of fact, I'm preparing right now in the other room a mailing, a direct mailing. I guess, I just took a look, there are about, I'm going to guess, 500 business cards I have sitting in the other room. Cards that I've actually, I was looking at them and trying to think of when I started collecting them, maybe as old as 10 years. But I'm going to take those 500 cards that I got, a lot of them at networking events when people get together, they interchange, they meet each other, they figure out if they want to do business with one another. That's what networking is, and it's an important concept. Today, I do virtually no networking. All the networking I've done in my life has worn me out. And the networking I do, I don't leave my office. I do it online, obviously. But it's important to get out and share. And networks are important. We can call your Facebook followers and friends and family and your LinkedIn and the folks who follow you on Twitter. Those are networks within communities that you've established for yourself. So they're very important. When you start a business, the first people you want to share that experience with are friends and family. So why not tell them on Facebook? When you create a landing page in David's Barter Community, we have a simple share button to send that landing page to your Facebook friends and family. It's not a unique concept. I'm copying. It's not an original concept, but it's an important one, and it's an efficient one, and one that we try to make simple and easy for you. Do anything to get a yes. I wouldn't say do anything to get a yes, but you definitely have to take people to yes. And it's not a matter of doing anything. It's a matter of doing the right thing. Understanding the pain that that other individual has and why whatever it is you're selling will get rid of that pain. You have to do the right things to get to yes, and it's very important to get to that yes, get to acceptance. When people say no to you, typically you haven't given them enough good information for them to say yes, and that's why they are saying no. But you can't get them to that point till you understand what their pain is. I can't emphasize that any too much. Poor judge of people. Oh my goodness. I thought I was a good judge of people. I have found with some decisions I've made in the last 2 to 3 years that I have been an extremely poor judge of people, giving too much faith and trust, being in denial, really, of what those people are about. And I'm going through some painful situations right now because of me being in denial and being a poor judge of character. Last summer, I ended a 10-year relationship with a friend who I learned at the end of 10 years really wasn't my friend. I had given him authorization to use my credit card to buy some equipment because he was going to manage the equipment that he was buying. And so I said, well, go ahead. You know what you need. You know what's best for me. Go ahead and do it. He did it. When it came time for him to actually do what he was supposed to do, for some reason I still don't know, bad judge of character, bad judge of people, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So I said, okay, fine, you don't want to do it. I'll find somebody who will. I went to go get my equipment back from him that was mine. He wouldn't give it to me. I had to go to court to get the equipment that I gave him my credit card used to buy and buy it back a second time because he hired some attorney, big highfalutin attorney, and I didn't have an attorney. I went into the courtroom by myself. I didn't need an attorney. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted back what belonged to me. And it was easier for me to buy that equipment back at a price that I agreed to, which was ridiculous, but I agreed to, because if I had hired an attorney, it would have cost me much more than it ultimately did cost me. The point is, I was a poor judge of character, and in business, you really do need to be a good judge of character. James, thank you very much for your wonderful blog on the 7 habits of highly effective mediocre entrepreneurs, to be found at TechCrunch, TechCrunch.com.